You're listening to the Women Talking About Learning podcast. My name is Andrew Jacobs. Welcome. Hello everyone, and welcome to this episode, the Learning Challenge one of the Women Talking About Learning podcast. We're back, and we've got some fantastic guests and topics coming up, and this week's is no exception. Today you're going to get to hear from Roz Stevens and Jo Royce. Roz is an award-winning lesbian photographer based in London. She's been heard on Women's Hour, BBC Northern Ireland, BBC Essex, and the East End Women Activists Archive at the Bishopsgate Institute. Roz lives with her two kitties, her bass guitar and a bike, and she loves all aspects of photography. She's also taken all of my headshots, and if you've seen any of them, she's made a silk purse out of a sow's ear. She's very talented. Our second guest is Jo Royce. Jo is a people-curious lover of learning, coaching and creativity. Currently Global Director of Marketing Capabilities at Unilever, Jo is a Women in Advertising and Communications Leadership member. She's a coach, a mentor, and teaches and learns as much as she can on the side, and you'll hear that within the podcast. I wanted to get both Jo and Roz on the podcast because I thought, coming from totally different perspectives, they would have an interesting chat. Oh, and they so did. This was recorded in early May 2021. This is Women Talking About Learning. This is Roz and Jo talking about the Learning Challenge.
So Jo, tell me a little bit about you, who you are. It's nice to meet you. It's a bit weird sort of coming on Zoom and just sort of seeing you and not knowing you at all, really. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Cool. Yeah, lovely to meet you, Roz. I'm Jo. I currently work as Global Marketing Capability Director at Unilever. I'm a coach, I'm a mentor. I'm also sort of by the by parent of two. So hence part of the reason why we're meeting for the first time now, because it's all a bit hectic at the minute, isn't it? But that's what I do. And I've been working in the creative industries for about 20 years, but never as the creative, more as the sort of commercial or learning person. How about you?
Oh, right. Okay, that's interesting. I'm a photographer. Mm-hmm. I graduated in graphic communications and design quite a few years ago now, but got a job to pay the bills, as you do.
Yeah.
And then that job I ended up staying within retouching for 8 years. Mm-hmm. And then helping set up retouch studios in the UK and in Germany. And my grandma passed in the end of 2018, and before she passed, she told me to pick up my camera again and make her proud. So I did. I picked up my camera because I was 18 when I studied photography, and I'm now 40. Mm-hmm. So I learned back in the day when it was film, learning how to process film, learning darkroom, all that exciting stuff. So my camera was very much out of date and old, and so I decided to sell it all with the inheritance and pick it up and learn it. And now I'm at a point where I've split the business into two. So I've got the fine art photography and also the kind of bread and butter photography, it's like headshots and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going really well. I've been double funded to produce a portrait photography project.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm in talks with someone at the British Library about exhibiting in their foyer.
Oh my God, that's great.
Yeah. And Queer Britain, a museum, have been in touch about wanting to know more about it. So I'm at a point where I'm just trying to keep it really small and contained because I don't want it to grow faster than I can cope with it. Yeah, I'm also dyslexic, dyspraxic, and ADHD. So I didn't find this all out until I was a lot older in life. So but
wow,
yeah,
that's a lot of exciting stuff going on for you.
Yeah.
And sounds like quite an awesome journey, to be honest. When did you, out of interest, when did you discover that you were dyslexic, dyspraxic, and so on?
I was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
So I actually found out through my partner, who noticed the signs and was themselves dyslexic and dyspraxic, and said, go get tested. And I did, and then I found that out. But I only found out recently that I was ADHD as well, which I was diagnosed as a child, and I'm waiting to be diagnosed as an adult. But yeah, so it's all exciting, interesting stuff that's going on. I'm also going to be part of the E17 art trial as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. I when lockdown happened, I separated from my wife, and I was on my own for lockdown, and I went to Tesco's and bought some food and bought my favourite flowers, which are peonies. And I bought my ingredients for my favourite food, which is a Thai red curry. And I took them on a date in my kitchen with my peonies and my glass of rosé and photographed them. And then that's what I'm going to exhibit for the E17 art trial.
Wow, lovely.
Yeah.
Love that. So how about I would love to delve straight in with our theme, which is learning challenge.
Okay.
Tell me what that means for you, and tell me how, I'm assuming here, big assumption, that you have to be pretty self-driven and self-motivated to run your own business and be so entrepreneurial. How do you apply learning for yourself?
I'm one of those people who's always curious to know more, and if I don't know something, I want to know why I don't know it and how I can learn it. So that's kind of it's photography is visually is how I see is. Sorry, I'm struggling to come up with the words here, but it's hard to learn things for me. So it's through visually doing stuff that I am motivated to learn. So,
that makes sense.
Answers your question, but how about yourself?
So I guess interesting to hear from you're the creative from my perspective. You're a creative person, and it's, I completely get, it's more of a kind of applied approach. You're learning by doing, and you're sort of probably learning the whole time, I imagine, sort of pushing yourself. For me, I guess my learning has been more about a kind of, definitely a curiosity. So share that with you. We have that in common. And mine is a curiosity about people, I think. And having done sort of lots of commercial roles, so in a sort of creative agency at the time, did the sort of fairly traditional become a manager of a bigger team and blah blah blah, and actually sort of stepped back and thought, the bit that's really interesting for me is the people stuff, the psychology and the behavioural stuff, and what motivates people and how you get good teams together and so on. So I've made it more of a point of pursuing that. So doing a master's at the minute.
Are you? Amazing.
Yeah, it's wicked, it's brilliant, to be honest with you. It's absolutely brilliant. It's so fascinating. It's really hard work.
Right.
But I think because I don't get to exercise my kind of necessarily my creative muscle in my day job, it's super important for me to do it and get it somewhere. What's your master's in? It's in creativity, innovation and leadership. So it's a really sort of eccentric, doesn't really do it justice, but it's a proper left brain, right brain sort of thing. So it's at Cass, which was City University sort of at one point, and it's you do everything from creative writing to innovation, creative problem solving, design thinking. It's a real sort of blend. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Really good. Really good. Yeah. But and I think, again, I'm imagining through your work you get to meet a hell of a lot of diverse and interesting people, and this for me is kind of meeting people beyond the day job, beyond the kind of the normal confines of everyday life that I wouldn't otherwise get to meet from all over the globe. So it's brilliant. It's cool.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, your time must be so limited then if you're doing the masters, you've got your job, you've got your kids.
You know what it's like though. It's like listening to you with so I've now got a double business. It's like you fit in what you need to fit in, don't you? And it's always like it's generally slightly too much, but like in a good way. But yeah, and I think I don't know. It's easy to sort of apply the kind of cliches and think. The cliche I come across a lot in a positive way is, women are super capable. We do a lot. We can get a lot done.
Yeah.
I think it's a thing. Curiosity, what you're interested in and what you love, then it becomes easier, doesn't it? I think.
It does.
Yeah. Did I lose you then, Roz?
Yeah.
Did it glitch out?
Yeah. Was that me or was that? I'm not sure.
I don't know. But I can hear you and see you again, so that's all good.
Yeah. That you get overwhelmed because you said it's always just to the point where it's just manageable and it's okay and it's fine, but sometimes I get to the point where I'm like, if I don't pause for a minute, I'm going to burn out and I'm not going to be able to do anything. So I have to either go out and cycle or do something completely different. Like I'm starting to learn how to play the bass.
Wow.
A different kind of using my brain in a different way to do the photographing and all the organizing that goes with the different sides of that and all the business stuff. But if I sort of step away and cook, I've learned how to cook a load of different things recently.
Nice.
Just to use my brain differently but still use it. But do you ever get to that point where you're just like, it's too much?
Oh my god, definitely. But I hear you on the kind of on the sort of ambidextrous stuff, so where you're being creative and you're doing the organizing and you're running your business. It's sort of like stretching yourself like mentally and physically in 3D sometimes, isn't it? Which is great, but it means you need the downtime physically and mentally and emotionally. And I think, I definitely hear you on finding activities that are absorbing but not taxing. That sort of idea of flow, I think, isn't it? Is always appeals to me. Like beyond, if I'm not careful, I'll just watch back-to-back crime dramas. Like totally obsessed with but actually reading or walking or doing something that requires focus but not stressful focus, I think is quite a sort of insight actually.
Things that feed you energy, things that energy
exactly. So how do you with your like running and doing and driving your own business, how do you set yourself goals for the business? Do you keep motoring and see what happens, or how do you sort of set those parameters for yourself?
It's been a long time of figuring it out what works and what doesn't work. So I went through a phase of I need to write everything down because it's all in my brain and I can't think about what I need to think about because it's just all floating around in my brain. So I'd write lists of stuff and then I would write lists because I'd lose the list. And then I ended up having like 5 different lists in 5 different places. Now I'm moving because I can't remember what list, and I've taken the wrong list with me. And so I've put it all onto Google Docs now, and I just have a list of what I need to do.
Nice.
And then it's my choice whether I look at it or not. And then I can move things up and down really easily just on that. And I have goals for long-term, short-term, mid-term. They change quite a lot. I have what I call my photography universe. And then I have things that I want. I have mind maps. I find that they help me quite a lot.
Nice. Yeah.
That's for my E17 universe, and then mind maps for my other one. And then I have them actually on my wall so I can look at them and see where I want it to go and what I want it to do and where I am and what's going on.
That's cool.
But one thing that's quite annoying though is because it is my workplace is in my home. So I'm always at my office. I'm always on my phone. I'm always, and if I'm watching I'm quite a big fan of true crime stuff as well, or crime on Netflix. So if I'm watching back-to-back Netflix, I'm usually on my laptop and I've got my phone going. So it's sometimes hard to just go, no, I need to just go out. And if I go for a cycle, I can't look at my phone. So it stops me.
I get that. I think that's it's insightful to spot that in yourself though, and to kind of to give yourself almost to set the barriers so that you can't do that. It's too easy, isn't it? It's too easy to be. I do exactly the same. You're kind of watching something, you're tapping away on the laptop. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, I've been on the screen all day. This is not good. This can't be good. Be good.
Do you do that too then? Do you have lists that you do?
Yes, I was smiling when you were saying that actually, because I'm like the queen of notebooks to the point where I'm like, now which notebook did I write that in? Because I'm sure it was very insightful at the time, but now I can't bloom find it. So funnily enough, not dissimilarly to you, I've started putting things up on the wall, because then it's kind of one place, and it's a little bit like I don't know, the difference between a sort of picture in a book and the picture on the wall, it has more specialness to it. So actually my list on the wall, I'm a little bit more respectful of. That becomes my kind of the mind map or the plan or the sort of Kanban list, like trying to get it into, only 3 pots of stuff. Well, I can't even think what it is, but doing and done, isn't it? I think which I do struggle with. I struggle with process and rigor, but I'm sort of trying every day.
Right. Do you also use apps at all? Any kind of apps on your mobile to help you structure things?
I do, but it's fascinating, and it was part of the MA this year. Actually, one of the modules was about digital technology and tools and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's fascinating because it's this real sort of paradox with them, I think, where exactly as you say, there are so many amazing reflective tools and note-taking tools and journaling and so on. But ultimately, you don't want to be in your bloody phone. That's the whole point, right?
Yes.
It's like, get me away from the screen and get this gadget out of my hand and let me think in a different way. So I definitely kind of, no matter all the tools that I try, I will always defer to like a pen and a notebook, because it's just it helps me use my brain in a different way, I think. Absolutely. Are you the same, or are you a kind of apps queen?
Absolutely the same. Absolutely the same. But then, because I have the ADHD, not only do I have 5 or 6 lists of different things, I have 5 or 6 apps which are all doing the same sort of thing.
Okay.
And putting stuff in the same things in the same apps, and then which app have I put it in?
Oh God, I hear you. Yeah, I really do.
So now I just, same as you, I actually have a notebook in front of me just in case I need to sort of write something down. But I decided to not use apps. I just use Google Calendar and have the one calendar now, because again, I think it might be ADHD related, but I have 5 emails, 5 Google Doc accounts, 5 G drives.
Yeah, really.
And it's, so I am on top of it, but it can be quite a lot, knowing where I've put something. So now it's just one calendar. I know where I am and what I'm doing at a certain time.
Yeah. I'm with you on Google Docs, actually. Yeah, big fan. But that's enough of a plug for Google. We'll take the check later on that one. Yeah. So I guess back to this idea of the learning challenge.
Yeah.
How do you do that for yourself? How do you is it about reading for you? Do you have access to courses, or how do you pursue your own learning?
Well, during lockdown, I went on quite a few different business-related podcasts and Zooms and courses that were free at the time. And it's just a case of knowing that it might take me a little bit longer to get what I mean out. When I think it, I don't necessarily, it won't come out as I plan it in my head.
Yeah.
A little barrier to it. And sometimes it takes me longer to kind of understand what's going on and processing it from left to right side of the brain. It's not me, but usually it's just a case of persisting with it. Sometimes I screen record what I'm doing as well, so I can go back to it later.
Okay.
and rewatch it. Most of the time I don't need to do that, but yeah, it's just a case of just keeping on with it. And loads of different things can factor in, as you know yourself, if you don't sleep very well, or if you're hungover, or you know, tired or stressed, all that will make an impact on all of it. But how about you? Is learning a challenge for you in any way?
Well, I think it's funny. It's funny how sort of how many similarities actually. So my default source is always books, and not kind of on screen, but real books. To be able to highlight stuff. It's so old school. Like, give me a notebook and a pen and a book and a highlighter, and I try and use different techniques. So it's always a bit of an effort, if I'm honest, to sort of listen to stuff and really concentrate. I kind of have to see stuff.
I understand
very much. Yeah, very, very much kind of, kinesthetic, sort of have to see and touch and actually sort of scribble stuff or write stuff, and find myself doing the most horrendous doodles that mean absolutely nothing afterwards. At the time, it's like, oh yes, that's very profound. I look at it afterwards and just go, what was going on there? That felt really good at the time. So yeah, it's like a sort of, I suppose that's part of the finding out what works kind of journey, isn't it? And being curious and trying out, as you say. I love trying out new apps, but there are very few that sort of really stick in terms of weaving their way into the day to day and genuinely being useful in a way that's not kind of distracting or and so on. So not dissimilar.
Do you have any learning disabilities yourself?
It's funny, not that I'm aware of, but I'm definitely, without any kind of scientific knowledge, I'd call myself a sort of bit of a meerkat, because I literally can't sit still. I find it quite hard to concentrate, and I think, I don't know, I definitely have a very sort of physical energy that I need to be active for the brain to be engaged. Actually, the irony of doing office-based work is like, this is hard. Yeah.
But then you're always around creative people, right?
I mean, definitely lots of stimulating inputs and content and stuff to do. But I think, when you go back to, have you ever done things like sort of Strengths Finder and personality profiles and
like ENTJ sort of thing?
Yeah. Do you remember, have you done that one specifically, the Myers-Briggs?
Yes, I've done it twice and it was the same each time. ENTJ.
ENTJ. I think I'm ENFP.
Okay. So, they're similar.
Yeah. But I think stuff like that is, I mean, obviously we're all fascinating to ourselves, aren't we? But it's kind of, it's always interesting to think, how am I making sense of that, and why do I process information in that way, and where do I kind of get my energy from, and so on. So trying to just dial up self-awareness, I think, and trying to kind of always be aware if it's work that I find super difficult, try and get it done. And if it's stuff that I really enjoy, try and leave space for it, I think.
It's the hard stuff first.
I try.
Yeah.
bit like getting kids to eat the vegetables first. It's like, it's always there as a, an idea. Doesn't always work.
Same. Sometimes I can just get the big thing done first and then it's out of the way and it's done. And sometimes I have to do a few small things first and then do the big thing. But do you think that women in general have any kind of challenges about when it comes to learning? I mean,
I tell you what I'm fascinated by / slightly obsessed with at the moment is groups and teams and learning. So on a couple of levels, and this is sort of thinking with a bit of a corporate lens, because that's that's sort of the day to day that I'm in. So it's a very particular context to leadership.
Yeah.
But ideas about leadership, which are now, who wrote this recently? Do you know Oliver Berkman, who writes sometimes in The Guardian? I think he's like their sort of resident psychologist.
Yeah.
He's got a brilliant book called Help, which is sort of debunking leadership and team effectiveness, and all from a psychological basis and grounding. But he talks about how we so often mistake confidence for competence when it comes to leadership.
Right.
And that I think is so true. You're like, just because you speak with authority does not mean you know anything more about this than anyone else. And whilst it's a bit of a sort of gender stereotype, I do see more often that men slightly play to that sort of confidence stereotype when it comes to leadership.
Yeah.
And women less so, as a sweeping generalization. And I think I'm probably more interested, not necessarily gender, but kind of personality types, that introversion, extroversion, and how you get your voice heard in the room, and who puts their hand up for staff, and all of the stuff around team effectiveness, team dynamics, I think can be so easily skewed towards extroverts and super confident people.
Yeah.
And not the people. Well, A, you should be listening to everyone, right? Get all the voices in the room and be inclusive.
Yeah.
But B, because someone might need more time to reflect, or might be quieter, or might be less forthright in coming forwards, doesn't mean that they don't have as valuable an opinion on something as the louder person. So I think there's so much work to be done there. And fascinated / obsessed by that, as I say. What do you think with the sort of the gender lens on it?
With the gender lens on it, well, I'm going to speak out as a queer person here. I mean, it's not just about male, female. It's about they, thems as well, and all the other things that come under the spectrum of. It's not just a man-woman thing. This is
totally.
Like it's a personality thing. And there's other factors that come into it as well, into play at a certain time. I don't think it's specifically gender related. Totally. And interesting at the moment as well, like I've been involved in lots of ED&I work in the day job and at work, and working as an ally on our Proud committee, which has been awesome. Like lots of really interesting work into understanding the spectrum of sexuality and gender identity and so on. And it's all, a lot of it is it's proper learning for me. It's kind of actually trying to sort of walk in someone else's shoes and understand the nuance of it. And I think actually get involved in the discussion as well, have a thoughtful, informed discussion. But that's the point. You have to have the discussion. You have to step into it, right? Absolutely.
And I can see there that I feel like people need to have a bit of kind of, I don't know if bravery is the right word, but bravery to kind of open up and say what you don't understand or what you don't know as much as what you do know. And just encourage people to have a kind of sensitive and empathetic, but have a discussion, engage in it.
Absolutely. Definitely.
What so do you feel like you bring your particular personal perspective to your work?
Which perspective? On
your full life perspective, so based on your identity, your experiences.
Yes, I do definitely think so. I was brought up only child, single parent in York, where my family were in London, so I was very isolated.
Wow.
In the 80s, back in Thatcher era in York. I
Yeah.
was very much isolated, and it was very much my mum and me, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is reflected in a lot of my work. Well, I've just been commissioned for a magazine to shoot Soho. So I shot Soho in lockdown, then I went back and shot it in this intermediate period, and then I'll go back again once lockdown is lifted and show it when it's open up again.
Awesome.
And I loved seeing Soho with no people in it was amazing. And I find that kind of eerie. Do you know Edward Hopper, the painter?
Yeah.
Work. There was so many shots in there that just kind of reminded me of that kind of isolated, and I kind of felt a real deep connection with that, and I really enjoyed doing it. So I would definitely say that comes across in this piece of work that I'm doing.
Love that.
Yeah, I'm very influenced by painters, all that kind of thing. But yeah, I think who you are will come out in your art.
Yeah,
definitely.
And how do you translate that sort of personal lens to, if you're doing more, I can't remember how you described it, but the other half of your business, if you're doing portraits or,
the portrait stuff, which I've got the Queers in the Forest photography project, which is portraits, which is the British Library thing. And I do like the actors' headshots, and the actors' headshots are behind camera. We're having a laugh, we're having a giggle. It's all fun and games, and then you get the shot that you need, and it's done. Whereas, well, I don't know. Actually, with Careers in the Forest, I'm shooting people in a slightly different manner, but we still have rapport. I still get to know the person sitting for me, but it's not quite in the same manner. But it's still fun. There's still fun there, whichever way I'm doing it. I'm still enjoying I'm loving what I'm doing and enjoying it. But how do you think that your personality and your experience in your life comes through in what you do?
I think it does, and I think the weird. This is my take on it. Obviously, that the challenge that you find with challenge I have found more accurately with corporates and work identity is how much you can be yourself. I guess back to sort of the notion of diversity and inclusion and so on. There's a lot of talk about and recognition about increasingly the importance of being able to bring your authentic self to what you do, but the reality, honestly, I mean, I won't sort of name corporate names, but it's amazing how identical people look in some kind of corporates, down to the kind of the sort of shade of jeans that the blokes wear. It's just like, oh God, really? I've sort of hilariously been described as wacky, eccentric, creative. I'm like, geez, I'm not wacky, honestly. I may be a bit bonkers, but I'm pretty kind of pretty dull, and when it comes to it, thanks, Roz. It's funny. I think the ultimate, it has to be sort of wherever you work, whatever you do, being able to kind of bring your own flavor, bring your own personality in all its kind of quirkiness. I think that's ultimately, that's what inclusion diversity is about as well, isn't it? Really, being yourself.
Exactly. That's absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. Be yourself. Be authentic. And be true to you.
Yeah. And get your hairdresser's name, because deeply coveting your chops.
I did this myself.
Did you?
Yeah, I like it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna send you the picture for the haircut goal that I had. It literally looks like your hair. Sorry, totally off piece, but it literally does.
But I'm having hair envy and also jumper envy. That jumper is sunshine.
Thank you. Cool. Well, listen, it has been really lovely to meet you and to chat to you. I've so enjoyed that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for taking time to chat as well. This has been wonderful.
Likewise. And British Library is when?
Well, that I'm in talks with them. So
okay.
Ears peeled.
Watch this space.
Yes.
Yeah.
You can peel your ears. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Let's try.
Yeah. We'll keep in touch.
Yeah. Brilliant. I love that.
All right. Enjoy your evening.
You too. Thanks so much, Roz. Take care.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
Somebody asked me the other day, why do you do Women Talking About Learning? And if ever there was an episode that summed it up, it was that. So all I do is find people who I think might connect around a topic. I give them no briefing, I give them no notes, I give them no direction. Just say, this is the topic, have a conversation. And how Roz and Joe, who had never met before that, got together and just went off and had a chat. That's what I love about Women Talking About Learning. I want to thank them for coming up with such a great podcast episode. And also to say to you, we're still recording. We're still looking for guests. So Joe and Roz, pretty new to this kind of activity, yet they could still produce something that sounded so great. So if you want to be involved, please get in touch. We're always recording. We've got plenty of topics. We're up to about 40 odd now that people want us to cover. As always, you'll find all the details on our website and all the links and contact information within the show notes. Again, thank you for listening, and we'll see you again soon. You have been listening to the Women Talking About Learning podcast. Women Talking About Learning is available on all podcast platforms, including Apple and Google Podcasts. You'll also find us on Spotify, Amazon Music, and other music streaming services. Make sure to like and subscribe. It helps more people find us. You can find out more about Women Talking About Learning via our website, womentalkingaboutlearning.com. Make sure you tune in next time for more women talking about learning, for more of the signal and none of the noise.